Has someone you love begun to change in small, almost imperceptible ways? Maybe they sleep more than they used to. Maybe they've stopped wanting to go out. Or maybe it's just a quiet feeling in your chest, a worry that something deeper is happening, even if you can't quite name it. If so, you're not alone. Most of us grow up thinking death in old age happens suddenly, an unexpected heart attack, a bad fall, or a trip to the hospital that turned serious. We imagine it as a single moment, something sharp and fast. But in reality, for many elderly people, the journey toward life's end is gentler, slower, quieter than we expect. The truth is, the body often begins preparing for death long before the final moment arrives. Not in loud, obvious ways, but in whispers, subtle signals that begin months, sometimes even a year before someone passes. A shift in how they walk, a change in how they eat, the way their voice gets softer or their world gets smaller. These signs don't come to scare us. They come to prepare us. But the heartbreaking reality is, most families miss them, not because they're hard to see, but because they're hard to accept. We look back months later and realize the clues were there the whole time. We just didn't want to believe what they meant. But what if you could recognize those clues now, while there's still time? What if knowing what to watch could give you the chance to make the most of each day, to say the things that matter most, and to ensure your loved one's final chapter is written not in fear, but in love, presence, and dignity? That's what this video is about. We're going to walk through 5 quiet but powerful signs that doctors, hospice nurses, and end-of-life caregivers see again and again in the final year of life. These signs are rooted in science, witnessed through experience, and shared here with compassion. Not to frighten you, but to empower you. Because when we understand what's happening inside the body, we're no longer confused. We're no longer caught off guard. We can stop trying to fix what can't be fixed, and instead start giving what matters most: comfort, connection, and unconditional care. So stay with us until the end. These 5 signs may not change the outcome, but they can change everything about the journey. And when you walk that road with awareness, it becomes less about loss and more about love. Let's begin. Bell sign number 1. Significant, unintentional weight loss. The body's whispered goodbye. It often begins so quietly you almost don't notice. A pair of pants that no longer hugs a waist. A favorite shirt that suddenly looks too big. A dinner plate that used to be licked clean, now returned half full. You hear it once: "I'm not really hungry today." Then again tomorrow. And again the day after. At first, you chalk it up to aging, to fatigue, to just a phase. But beneath these everyday moments lies one of the earliest and clearest signs that the body may be preparing to let go. Doctors who work in hospice care say that unintentional weight loss, especially when it involves muscle, is more than a nutritional issue. It's a quiet signal from the body, a signal that energy is fading, and the systems that once sustained life are beginning to slow down. As we age, our metabolism naturally declines. But in the final year of life, this slowdown becomes more dramatic. The body stops processing nutrients as efficiently. Muscles begin to break down, not just from lack of use, but because the body no longer holds onto protein the way it used to. Even digestion becomes a burden, draining energy instead of restoring it. Food starts to lose its flavor. Smells become overwhelming. Chewing and swallowing feel exhausting. The simple joy of eating turns into a chore. And slowly, day by day, appetite fades. Not out of depression or sadness, but because the body itself is shifting its focus inward. In many cases, chronic illnesses like congestive heart failure, late-stage kidney disease, or undiagnosed cancer play a hidden role. They tax the body in ways that don't always show up in lab results right away. Internally, the body is working harder than ever to keep going, until one day, it simply can't keep up anymore. Families, in their love and desperation, try everything. Favorite meals, protein shakes, gentle pleading, and for a little while, it might seem to help. But if the weight keeps dropping, if energy keeps declining, then the real need isn't more food. It's more compassion. This is not a time for force or frustration. It's a time to shift from fixing to comforting. Focus on foods that bring them joy, no matter how small the portions. Make meals a moment of connection, not stress. Offer soft, easy-to-swallow foods. Encourage hydration, in sips. Sit beside them in silence if that's all they want, because in these quiet moments, something sacred is happening. The body is speaking, not in panic, but in peace. And if we truly listen, we'll hear what it's trying to say. I'm beginning to slow down. I no longer need to fight. I need rest, care, and love. Unintentional weight loss in an elderly loved one is not just about shrinking clothes. It's about a shrinking life force. And while you may not be able to stop it, you can honor it. By recognizing the sign, you give your loved one a powerful gift. Not resistance, but respect. Not fear, but freedom. And most importantly, a chance to live a time they have left with grace and gentleness. Bed sign number 2, persistent deep fatigue and weakness. When even breathing feels like effort, we all feel tired sometimes. After a long day, after a bad night's sleep, after stress and worry wear us down. But this kind of tiredness is different. It's not the kind that disappears with a nap or fades with a good meal. It's a deep bone-level exhaustion, a quiet heaviness that settles into every movement, every breath, every moment. In the final year of life, many elderly people begin to feel this profound kind of fatigue. It doesn't arrive overnight. It creeps in slowly. At first, they start taking longer naps. Then they stop doing chores. Then walking to the bathroom feels like a full-body task. And eventually, even sitting up in bed requires effort. Broken heart, why it happens. The body is beginning to conserve its energy. It knows, on some primal level, that its reserves are limited. So it begins to prioritize only the most essential functions. Keeping the heart beating, the lungs moving, the brain aware, if only slightly. Here's what's happening under the surface. The heart is slowing down, pumping blood with less force. Circulation weakens, meaning less oxygen reaches the muscles. The muscles themselves begin to atrophy, shrinking from disuse. The lungs struggle to oxygenate the body fully, especially during movement. Every step becomes labor. Every conversation becomes a marathon. And here's the hardest part. For families, for caregivers, for the person themselves, this level of fatigue doesn't just rob the body, it steals identity. Your once active mother who loved tending to her plants now barely steps outside. Your proud father who never asked for help suddenly needs assistance with the smallest things. And it breaks their heart, not because they're giving up, but because their body is. Pensive face the emotional toll. With the physical exhaustion comes emotional withdrawal. The energy required to engage with the world, to hold conversations, to listen to stories, to participate in hobbies, is suddenly too much. So they stop trying. Not because they don't love you, not because they don't care, but because their battery is nearly empty and what little charge they have left they're using to keep existing one breath at a time. This can look like depression, like disinterest, like giving up. But it's not. It's the body quietly preparing for rest. Not today, not tomorrow, but in the near future. Light bulb what they need now. What they need is not encouragement to push harder. What they need is understanding. This is the time to slow down with them, to match their pace, to hold their hand in silence, instead of filling it with conversation, to help them to the chair without making them feel weak, to allow them to sleep without guilt, to rest without resistance. Because in this phase, love isn't shown by fixing what's broken. It's shown by honoring what's happening gently and respectfully. If you notice that your loved one is sleeping more, talking less, and moving slowly, even when they're not sick, don't ignore it and don't panic. Instead, lean in, listen, because that fatigue may not just be tiredness. It may be the body whispering goodbye long before it lets go. And in that whisper, you can find your greatest gift, the chance to make their final stretch full of comfort, presence, and peace. Brain sign number 3, cognitive confusion and emotional withdrawal. When the mind grows quiet before the body does, there's a moment many families never forget. It's when the person you've always known, your mother, your father, your partner, looks at you, and for just a second, you see something different in their eyes. Not fear, not pain, but distance. They forget your name. They ask the same question 3 times in 5 minutes. They look around the living room like they've never been there before, and you realize something is changing. This is one of the most heartbreaking signs that someone may be nearing the end of life. A quiet unraveling of the mind, a soft fading of memory, personality, and presence. But this isn't always dementia. In fact, many seniors who never showed signs of Alzheimer's or memory loss begin to experience cognitive confusion in their final months. Why? Because the brain, like every other organ, needs oxygen and nutrients to function. And as the heart weakens, circulation slows. Less blood flows to the brain. The cells don't fire as quickly. Thoughts become fuzzy, and clarity begins to slip away. What's even more painful? It doesn't always happen all at once. There are good days where they seem almost like themselves again, smiling, laughing, telling stories. And then the next day, they don't remember those conversations at all. You live in this bittersweet cycle of lucidity and loss. But memory isn't the only thing that fades. Many seniors also begin to emotionally withdraw. They stop initiating conversation. They sit quietly in their favorite chair for hours, saying little. The sparkle that once lit up their face during family visits begins to dim, and it's not because they don't care. It's because caring takes energy, and in this stage, energy is a precious currency the body can no longer afford to spend. Emotions become harder to access. Processing what's happening around them becomes exhausting. Even something as simple as following a group conversation can feel overwhelming. Some loved ones become irritable, snapping at things that never used to bother them. Others seem unusually serene, as if the world no longer touches them in the same way. These shifts aren't personal. They're physiological. They are, quite literally, the brain letting go. What you can do. It's tempting to try to bring them back by reminding them who you are, retelling stories, or gently correcting their confusion. And while your intention is pure, the result is often more frustration than clarity. So instead of pulling them into your world, enter theirs. Sit beside them quietly. Even in silence, your presence speaks volumes. Hold their hand, gently. Physical touch often comforts when words can't. Speak with calmness and warmth. Even if they don't respond, they feel it. Share music they once loved. Familiar melodies can reach deeper than memory. Accept the moment as it is, not how you wish it was. This stage is not about holding on to who they were, but honoring who they are now with tenderness and patience. Because even if they forget your name, they remember your essence. Even if they can't follow your words, they feel your love in the tone of your voice. Even if they drift into silence, your presence anchors them. And in those quiet, fleeting moments of recognition, a gentle squeeze of your hand, a sudden smile, a peaceful sigh, you'll know the connection isn't broken. It's just changing. They may be slipping away mentally before they leave you physically, but you still have time, not to fix, not to rescue, but to simply be with them, for them, beside them. And sometimes that's the most powerful goodbye of all. Stethoscope sign number 4, frequent infections and slowed healing, when the body stops repairing itself. At first, it seems small, a bruise on the arm that takes too long to fade, a scratch that doesn't scab over, a low-grade cold that just won't go away. Most families barely notice until the pattern repeats. Then comes a sudden UTI, a round of antibiotics, and just weeks later, pneumonia. You begin to realize something deeper is happening, something the body is trying to say without words. Doctors who specialize in end-of-life care often point to frequent infections and delayed healing as one of the clearest signs that the body is nearing its final stage. It's not just that the person is getting sick more often. It's that the body is slowly letting go of its ability to defend and repair itself. Microscope why it happens. As we age, our immune system naturally weakens. But in the last year of life, this decline speeds up dramatically. The energy that once fueled immune responses is being redirected inward to keep the heart beating, the lungs expanding, the brain aware, if only slightly. The body becomes more vulnerable to urinary tract infections, UTIs, pneumonia and respiratory illness, skin infections and pressure ulcers, oral infection from dry mouth or poor hygiene. Even the most basic cuts or scrapes can linger for weeks. Small wounds reopen. Skin becomes paper thin and fragile. The body's once efficient healing system is now in survival mode. What's more, the immune system may no longer respond in typical ways. In younger adults, infection often comes with fever, inflammation, or visible signs of pain. But in elderly individuals near the end, the first warning signs are often different and far more subtle. A sudden wave of fatigue, new or worsening confusion, a noticeable loss of appetite, withdrawal from conversation or activities. These changes are often mistaken for just getting old, but they can be the first signs of an underlying infection, a urinary issue, a hidden wound, or even pneumonia. And here's what most families don't realize. Even antibiotics may not work the way they once did. As organ function declines, medications take longer to process. Infections become resistant, and the body, already exhausted, simply can't keep up with the fight. Bad what this means for care. When you reach this stage, the goal shifts from curing to comforting. You may feel a strong urge to fight, to take them to the hospital, to push for stronger meds, to fix what's going wrong. But sometimes the kindest act is to step back and ask, are we treating the illness, or are we just extending the suffering? In many cases, what your loved one needs is not a cure, it's care. Clean, soft bedding prevents skin breakdown, warmth and hydration to ease discomfort, gentle hygiene to avoid further infections, calm, quiet spaces where they feel safe and seen, hugs, prayer, silence, whatever soothes their soul. This is not about giving up. It's about showing up differently. Because in this chapter, healing may no longer be possible, but peace still is. A shift in mindset. For many families, this is the moment that changes everything. They stop counting pills and start counting memories. They stop waiting for improvement and start creating comfort. They stop fearing the end and start embracing the present. When infections keep returning and recovery keeps slowing, it's a signal. The body is not broken. It's just getting ready to rest. And when we recognize that, we can meet our loved ones where they are, not with more medicine, but with more love. Dashing away sign number 5, breathing and circulation. When the rhythm of life begins to fade, there's a moment near the very end when something changes in a room. Even before words are spoken, you hear it, a different kind of breath, slower, softer, uneven. As a person nears the final stage of life, their breathing often becomes the most visible signal that the body is letting go. Families often describe it as haunting, yet strangely peaceful, because in those final breaths, something sacred is happening, something beyond our control. When faced, how it begins. The shift may start subtly. They begin to take shallow breaths, as if air's grown heavier. Then, there are long pauses between breaths, 10 seconds, 15, even more. At times, their chest rises rapidly, then stops altogether, and then it starts again. This distinct pattern is known as Cheyne-Stokes respiration, and while it may feel alarming to witness, hospice doctors reassure families. It's rarely painful. It's not a struggle. It's the brain releasing control. The respiratory center of the brain is gradually shutting down, like lights in a house being turned off, one by one. It's the body's natural way of easing into stillness. Hand with fingers splayed, circulation changes, a quiet retreat from the extremities. Alongside breath changes, you may notice something else. Hands that feel cold, feet that turn bluish, ears, fingers, or even the nose looking pale or mottled. This isn't because the person is cold. It's because the heart is no longer pumping blood to the entire body. Instead, it's protecting the core, preserving the last bits of energy for vital organs like the heart and brain. The body is saying, I have only a little energy left, and I'm using it where it matters most. No amount of blankets or warm compresses will restore full warmth to the hands or feet. It's not a problem to solve. It's a sign to witness with grace. Person in bed, every movement feels heavy. In this phase, even simple things can become difficult. Sitting up might leave them breathless. A few words may take all their energy. Sleeping flat becomes uncomfortable, so they may start using more pillows or prefer sitting in a recliner where gravity helps them breathe more easily. You might hear a soft gurgle in the throat. This is often just saliva they can no longer swallow. A caregiver's instinct is to worry, to want to fix it. But in most cases, the person feels no pain. What's needed isn't suction or machines. It's presence. Dove, what families need to understand. Watching someone's breathing change so dramatically can feel frightening. It may seem like they're suffocating or slipping away too soon. But what you're really witnessing is the body's natural way of letting go with peace. In fact, many people near the end don't seem distressed at all. Their face is calm, their jaw soft, their eyes half open, staring gently at nothing and everything at once. It's not fear they're feeling, it's surrender. And in these moments, the most powerful thing you can offer is not panic, but presence. Cherry Blossom, how to create comfort in the final hours. Lower the lights, play soft music or familiar sounds. Open a window to let in a cool breeze. Keep the room quiet, peaceful, and warm. Hold their hand. Even if they can't squeeze back, speak in whispers, or say nothing at all. Because in these final moments, it's not the machines that matter. It's the stillness. It's your voice, your love, your silent prayer, your willingness to sit with them until the very end. Sunrise, the final rhythm. As breathing slows, the spaces between each breath grow longer, and then one breath is the last. The room doesn't change immediately. The silence is soft. The world continues turning. But in that stillness, you've just witnessed something sacred. A soul, quietly exing a body that served it for decades. Not with violence, not with chaos, but with gentleness. A return to peace. Sunrise, final thoughts. Let's pause together, just for a moment, not to rush, not to analyze, but simply to feel. You just walked through 5 signs, not medical checklists, but gentle whispers from the body, subtle messages that life, in its final stretch, begins to send. Significant weight loss, that quiet disappearance of energy and appetite. It's not just the body thinning, it's the soul slowly retreating. Deep fatigue that doesn't lift with rest. Not laziness, not disinterest, but the body's way of preserving its final strength. For one last goodbye. Cognitive fading, confusion, silence, disconnection. Not because they've stopped loving you, but because the mind is slowly dimming the lights, one by one. Frequent infections, wounds that don't heal, illnesses that return again and again. It's not weakness. It's the immune system stepping back, preparing to rest, and breathing. The one thing we do from the moment we're born, changing rhythm, slowing, softening, breath becoming space. Then stillness. These aren't just signs of death. They're invitations to live differently while we still can. Light bulb, a different kind of preparation. You see, knowing these signs doesn't mean you can stop what's coming, but it does mean you can soften it. You can be present, not frantic. You can sit close, not race for answers. You can ask, what do you need? Instead of, how do I fix this? Because when we know what the body is telling us, we stop fearing every change and start listening with gentleness and grace. We start to understand that end of life doesn't mean end of love. It means the beginning of a deeper kind of connection, one built on silence, presence, and soul. This is the time to say things you've been holding in your heart. I forgive you. Thank you for raising me. I'm right here. You can rest now. I love you. Because the truth is, when we love with awareness, we love without regret. And when we understand what's coming, we don't just watch life fade. We fill it with moments that matter. A warm blanket on a cold hand. A whispered prayer in the quiet night. A last laugh. A final look. A slow, silent goodbye. These moments, these ordinary, sacred seconds, become everything. Red Heart, you are not alone. Our invitation to you. If something in this video touched your heart, don't keep it inside. Please leave a comment below. Tell us your story. Share the name of the person you're thinking about. Let someone else feel a little less alone in their journey. Which sign resonated with you most? How will you respond now that you know your words might bring peace to someone reading at 3 a.m., holding the hand of someone they're about to lose? And if you haven't already, we invite you to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell, because we're here to walk with you, to guide you through life's hardest chapters with honesty, warmth, and care. We're not just making videos. We're creating space for grief, for love, and for healing. Thank you for watching. And remember, the body may grow quiet, but love does not die. It simply changes form and stays with us always.